then next it will verify is it this user is authorized or not. Let's try to verify is it user is authorized or not. So that is done by using authorization. So what is authorization is here is a process of identifying the roles and permissions of the user. So that you can call it as which one here? Authorization. So your authorization, see authorization is a process of identifying, identifying, see that nodes are combined. Chandan, 26 some nodes are combined in one. Okay. Identifying the user roles, identifying the user roles and what do you call it as permissions or permissions that you can call it as what here? Authorization. So you're trying to find what is the user role is, and then you're trying to find out what permissions are required. Okay. So that you can call it as which one here? Authorization. So that is called as a authorization here. Okay. Is the process of identifying the user roles and permission. So actually role is given. So role is nothing but is belongs to one user, I mean one group. And that group can be called as which one here? Role. And permissions are nothing but what kind of operations you can do on the model. So that you can call it as which one? Permission. That is called as a permission here. So authorization is a process of identifying the user roles and one more is a permissions. Now if you see the backend for every application, I said it will provide a predefined model. Okay. So it will provide a predefined model. So if you see this, now you can see there is a group and there is a group is there, authorization group, and one more is authorization group permissions, and one more is authorization permissions, and authorization users, and authorization groups, and authorization user group permissions. For example, if you see this authorization group, it is a predefined model, and this is having ID as well as what here? Name. This is having ID as well as name. So now I'm trying to say authorization from authorization group. Okay. So here we have not created any groups. Here we have not created any group. Group is not created. So we have not created any group. And if you see this, okay, if you see this describe authorization group, what is that here? Permissions. Now there is a relation between this group as well as what? Group permissions. Group and what is that? Group permissions. Now who's providing all these models? Provided by a predefined application called which one? Authentication. Authentication and authorization. Okay. So this is not user defined model. This is a predefined model. So what you have to do first is whenever you are working with authorization, first thing is you have to create a group. Okay, you have to create a group and you try to define the permissions for that particular group. Okay, first you have to create a group. Okay, group is nothing but what here? Role. Group is nothing but what here? Role. For example, there is a role called admin. So admin is one role. Okay, and employee is one role. Employees is one role. Customer is one role. Okay, so it means you have different people working on your website. Okay, there are different people working on your website. Like there might be an admin, there might be what here employees, there must be what here customers. All these are what here groups. All these are what here groups. So admin is one group, employees one group, customer is what another group. And based on the group, every group will have some permissions. Permission is like viewing the details, adding the details, updating the details, and deleting the details. These are called which one? Inbuilt permissions. Those are inbuilt permission. If you want to create, you can define your own permissions. If you want, you can define your own permission. That is what you mean by the roles and permissions. So what are the basic steps to work with this authorization is, anyway, already we created one users. We already worked with what? Users. Now what you have to do is, you have to create. So what you have to do is, you have to create a groups and then you have to assign the permissions. You have to create a groups and then you have to assign the permissions. So first step, so steps, basic steps to work with, okay, authorization. Okay, authorization. First one is create. What do you create first? Group and then create what do you call it as a permissions. So create a group and then create what here permissions. Okay. Now this is the first thing what you have to do. So what you do first here is so what I'm doing here is So here I'm creating a project first. So here I'm creating a project. Okay, start a project. And here, this is my project here. So this is my project. So after creating a project, so within the project, you create a start application one. So for this project, I'm creating a database. So create a database. So project 30 database. Uh, so create a database. Okay, project 31 database. So I'm creating one separate database here. Now open the project. Here, open the project. Then after opening the project, within the project, so install the application. So within the project, you define the database. Now here, my database is MySQL. So this is a database, and then give the database name. So this database is project. So project 31 DB. Then you're trying to define the username of that database, and you're trying to define the password of that database. You're trying to define the host for that database, and you're trying to define the port number. So this you can call it as a yes. Now here, I'm trying to do certain operations on model. So here I'm creating one model. So here I'm creating one model where some users will do some operations. Okay, users will do some operation. Okay, users do some operations. Okay, so perform the operations. What I'm doing is I'm creating a model. So there is a model. So what is the model is some student. Okay, student is a model. Okay, I'm creating a model called student. So here I'm writing a models dot model, and student is having a roll number, and I'm trying to define this as integer field. So I'm writing a primary key equal to true. And there is another one called name models dot character field. So I'm trying to define the maximum length as some 25. So here I'm trying to create a model, and what is the name of the model is here student. The model name is what here student. Okay. So by default, this model is having all the permissions, like a user can add it, update it, delete it, as well as what view it. So he can retrieve the details, he can delete the details, he can update the details, and they can do all the operations. So by default is having all the permissions. So first what I'm doing is I'm creating one. So first what I'm doing is I'm creating one super user. Before that, I'm trying to do migrations. Python manage.py. Now create a model. So first create a model here in models.py. After creating model, anyway, you have to configure in setting.py. I'm not telling that. Then do the migrations. So do the migration Python manage.py. So make migrations. So make migrations and migrate it. Python manage.py migrate. So it will try to create a model. So after this, okay, do the migrations. After this, do the migrations so that the model is created. So that model is created. So that model is created. Then after that, I'm creating one super user. Okay, I'm creating one super user, and this by default, the super user is what admin. What is the role of the super user? Admin. So open the Python shell, Python manage.py shell. Okay, before this, create first super user. So Python manage.py create a super user, and the super user is NIT. So create a super user. Now it is asking user name. So NIT, and I just give the password. Okay. So give the password. So once it is done, now super user is created. So what do you do? It create one super user. And by default, the super user is what? Admin. What is the role of the super user is admin. The super user role is what here? Admin. Okay. Now, what we have to do is we have to create some groups. We have to create some group here. And then we need to add permissions to that group. Okay. We have to create a group and then we have to give permissions to that group. Okay. So what we are doing is we are creating a group. So we are creating a group here. So Python manage.py shell, and you have to import one model here. You have to import one model that is from Django dot. So I've done this from Django dot admin. Sorry, from Django dot. What is the name of this? Is contribute. Django dot contribute dot authentication dot models. Okay, you are trying to import the models like groups. So there is a model called which one? Groups. And second one is a permissions. So first one is a group and second one is what? Permission. So here from Django dot contribute dot authentication dot models. Now these are inbuilt models or not? So here there is a model called group and there is a model called which one? Permissions. You have a group and there is one more model called permissions. Okay. So group. So from Django dot contribute dot group and one more is a permission. So import this model. Okay, import this model. Okay, you have to import this model. And after now you have to open the Python shell. So you open the Python shell. So open the Python shell. Python manage.py shell. So open the Python shell from django.contribute.authentication. Okay, you're trying to import a group model and you're trying to import what here? Permissions. Now, first, what you do is create a groups. So this is nothing but create a group. So this is creating groups. Then how you create a group? By using create. Now you can see this group. Now, if you see the group, authentication group is having two things, ID and name. But what is ID is auto increment. What is ID is auto increment. You have to define only name. ID is auto increment. So you have to give only name. Use a database project 30 DB. And here I'm saying 31. Use a project 31 DB and see the tables. Okay, show tables. Now here there is one model, student is there and group is there, and there is a permission. Now you are trying to create a groups. Now if you see this, select star from authentication group. If I say authentication group, now is it any groups are there here? No, there's no groups. Now what we have to do, we have to create a group. So create a groups. First what you do is you create a group. Then how you create a group? Okay. So after this, now we imported a group. Here I'm creating one group object. Now assume that this is one group object. Okay, assume that there is one group object. We'll create one group. And what is the name of the group is admin group. So what is the name of the group? Admin group. Okay, what is the name of the group is admin group. Okay. So there is an admin group. So comma means now what is the meaning of this is it is try to create. I mean, there is one method. How can you create a record? You can create a record by using the method called create. So generally, if you want to create, you just use what create. But you can create or get. So there is a method called get or what create. So this will return. This will return. If the object is not exist, it will create it. If the object is not exist, it will create it and return ID also. ID means address of that object, and it returns the object. Okay. Now because of that, you are trying to use group admin group, comma. It will return the ID, but this ID we are not using it. If you are not using it, you might give that identifier name as what underscore. Now here I'm trying to use a model. What is the name of the model is group dot objects dot groups dot object dot get or create. What is the name of the method I'm using? Get or create. Get or create. So either if the existing, then it will read it. If it does not exist, what will it do? Create it. And what is the name of this group is admin. So here I created one group called which one? Admin group. So if I'm saying print admin underscore, what is that group? Now you can see one group is created and what is the name of this is admin. And I'm trying to print underscore. Underscore is what? True. Means is it this object is exist or not exist? Not exist. So what it is done, it is created. Okay, right? Now if I'm trying to execute this command again, if I'm trying to execute this command again, if I'm trying to execute this command again, now object is already there or not? Yes. So what I'm saying, admin underscore group, it returns the group name, and then print underscore. What is underscore is false. Means if it is not exist, it is creating and returning object with a true. If it is exist, it is returning the object with a false. So that is what you call it as get or create. So we'll create one more group, and this is a student model, right? Now student. So there is an admin and there is a staff. Staff means we'll have an employee. So there is one more group. So there is one more group we'll take. What is that group we'll take is employee group. Okay, there is a admins are there and there is a employees. Suppose you are developing application for a school or college. In that you have an admins as well as what employees. Okay, employee admin can do anything, but employee cannot do all the things. Okay, employee cannot create a student. Employee cannot delete a student. But who can do that operations? Admin. Who can do that operations? Admin. Okay. So employee group equal to employee group comma underscore. Okay, I'm not using this. Group dot objects dot get or create. Get or create. So get or create name equal to what is the name of this group is employee. So we created employee group. And now if I'm saying print employee group, and what is the name of the group is employee. Because this is not exist, it is created. So what we have done, we created groups. What we have done, we created what here? Groups. Now you can do this from admin also. There is an admin interface, right? So using admin interface also you can do this. Okay. You can just log in with admin interface and you can create groups and permissions. You can create directly groups and what? Permissions. But here I'm telling you manually. Okay. Now select a start from authentication groups. Now how many groups are created here? Two groups. One is admin and one more is what? Yes. Okay, right? Then next one is now permission you have to create it. Now next step is creating permissions. Next step is creating what is that? Permission. Permission you have to create it. You can do this from admin interface also. I say no, you can do this from admin interface. You can log in with admin application is there, right? I said as a predefined interface provided by Django application. Now you have to create a permission, but see, permission table is there or not? Yes. Now describe authentication underscore permission. Authentication authorization underscore. So there is a name and content type ID, and next one is what? Code name. So there is ID is there, and there is a content type ID. And see here, this is multi-valued. This is what here? Multi-valued. Multi-valued means what are the content type ID is? Content type ID is there and code name is there. Code name. So what is this code name is? You'll try to give some code name like which is nothing but permission name. Code name is nothing but what here? Permission name. Permission name that you can call it as which one? Code name. So this is nothing but group name and content type ID. And next one is what? Code name means which type of permission you want to give it. So here I'm creating one permission, creating a permission. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to create a permission. So permission equal to, now first you have to create permission and this permission you have to give it to group. What do you have to do first? You have to create first a permission. First you have to create a permission and this permission is assigned to the group. So creating permission is nothing but inserting values into which table? Inserting value into which table? Permission table. Okay. So whenever you log in and after login you verify this permission, is it this particular user is having this permission or not? So I'm creating a permission equal to permission dot objects dot what is it again? I'm saying create or get. So comma create. Okay, get or create. What I'm using get or create and just give the name of the permission. So name is nothing but what here? Code name. Okay, code name. Okay, code name. And what is the code name is? For example, employees are there. Employee cannot do any operation except viewing student details. He cannot add it. He cannot update. He cannot delete. He cannot what? Yes. He can do only one operation. Now I'm creating one permission. Which permission? View reports. Anything you can give. Code name can be anything. What is the name? This view underscore what is that? Report. So this is a code name. And this permission, this is not null. 1 minute. So what is the name of the column is? Code name. What is this given? Content type. Oh, We have to give this content type ID, because this content type ID is what here cannot be null. Content type ID cannot be null. Okay. So here we created 1 minute. Oh, why I exit here? Exit means you have to do again. Huh? Why I exit? Yeah, this is admin group. So here now select star from. So here authentication permission. Okay. Now here, so there are content type IDs there. See, there are a lot of things out there here. View permission. Okay. So authentication permission. Okay. Content type ID. Say select star from authentication permission. There is ID and there is a name and there is what here? Content type ID and there is a code name. What is our student is? Oh, sorry. What is our model name? What is our model name? No, no. What is the model name is view student. Okay. So here I'm saying a permission equal to, yes, permission equal to, so permission equal to permission dot, okay. So permission dot objects dot, okay, get or create. So already you have some permissions for every model. See, every model there is some permission. How many permissions will be there for every model? 4. Adding, changing, deleting, and viewing. Okay, adding student, changing student, deleting student, and one more is what? Viewing student. Now, for employee, I want to give permission called view. For employee, I want to give which permission? View permission. Okay. So what I'm doing it, I'm getting that permission first. Okay. By giving, what is the name of this is code name. So column name is what here? Code name. Code name equal to view. What is the code name is view student. Code name equal to view student. Okay. Now this permission you'll get it. So what is the permission I get here? Which permission I get here? View student. Which permission I get here? View student permission I get. You can see application 1. Okay, what is the name of the model? Student. And what is the permission is can view the student. Can view the student, but it cannot do anything. Okay, now this is one permission. Now, if you want to have multiple permissions, you take by default, the user can perform all the operations. You can add it, update it, delete it, and view it. But I want to assign only one permission to employees. What is that permission is? View. I want to assign only one permission to the employees. And what is that permission is? View. So here I created permission. Means I read the permission because already it's created, right? See, whenever you migrate it, so automatically it will create. Now this is a name and this is a content type ID and this is what name? Code name. So for every model it will create. Okay, every model it will create. Suppose group is there. Adding group, changing the group, deleting the group, viewing the group. Okay, user is there. Adding user, changing user, deleting user, and viewing user. Now I created student model. So it is created add a student, change a student, delete student, and what? View student. But our permission, which one we are taking? View student. Now this permission you have to add to whom? This permission you have to add it to whom? Group. You have to add this permission to whom? Group. So how many groups are there here? 2 groups. One is admin and one more is what? One is admin and one more is a employee. For example, employee group. I'm trying to say employee group, employee underscore group, employee underscore group dot add, employee underscore group dot add, employee underscore group, employee underscore group dot, what you're adding here? Permissions. Employee underscore group dot permissions, permission dot, what is the name of the method is add. So you are trying to add which permission? You're trying to add which permission? Yeah, content ID is same, but roles are different. So employee group dot permission dot add. Now, which permission you want to add it? Just give the name of that permission. So we already read this permission or not? Yes, PERN. So what is this permission is? Can view the student. Can view the student. So employee group dot permission dot add. What permission you added? View the student. They can view the student permissions. So employee dot employee underscore group dot permissions dot add. So what is the permission you are adding? You are adding a permission called view student. Okay. Now this permission get added. So next is you have to add this permission to a group. So we created permission. Okay, we created permission. And after creating a permission, you have to add this permission to what group? Okay, we get the permission from which model? Permission model. So these are inbuilt permissions or not? Yes. These are inbuilt permissions. If you want, you can create your own permission. But most of the times, you'll try to use what? Existing permissions. After creating a permission, add this permission to a home group. Add this permission to the group. And how you are adding this permission to the group? Suppose this is my group, employee group dot permissions dot add. So add this permission to the group. Now, even if you want to add this permission to the admin, you can also add it to what? Admin. Okay. Now, this is the backend work. What do you have to do it? This is a backend work. What do you have to do it? Okay. Now we created permissions and we created yes. Done this. Understood up to this, right? So first thing is you have to create a groups. And after creating groups, next is what? Permission, and then add this permission to group. Okay, but which group I've taken here? Employee group. So employee is having which permission? View details. Is having which permission? View details. Okay. Now come to authentication and then authorization. After authorization, you have to verify this person is having this permission or not. This person is having this permission or not. Okay. So there is a okay. Now this is done. After this, what we'll do is we create one form. So after this, what we'll do is we create one form where we'll try to input username, password, and re-enter password, and then we create user. We create a user, and that user belongs to one group. Okay, and that group will have some permissions. Okay, yes. Now what I'm doing first is I'm creating one form. Which form? Authentication form. I'm creating new user. So that is nothing but authentication form from now Django dot contribute dot Django dot contribute dot authentication dot some forms. So there is one form, and what is the name of the form is user creation form. I think. What is the name of the form? Forms. We have already used that form here. What is that form is? User creation form. User creation form. So Django dot contribute dot authentication dot forms. Import which form? User creation form. And this form, you're customizing it. Okay. You're trying to define the form. Okay. This is nothing but registration. Okay. Registration form. Inherit which one? User creation form. Because I don't want all the fields. In user creation form, you find so many fields like, because this is predefined form or not? Yes. It is having first name, last name, all the things will be there. But I don't want all the fields. I don't want all the fields. So you inherit which form? User creation form, and you customize it by just adding which one? Class meta. And here you define the model name. What is the model is? User. Now from Django dot contribute dot authentication models. Import which model? User model. Because we are inserting data into which model? User model. And in this, you try to include what? Fields. Okay, you're trying to include 4 fields, but you're not including all the fields. You are including username. And what is the next one is? So user model is having, right? Let's go to user model. So describe authentication underscore, what is that? User. What is the name of the model is? User. Now here you have a password. Okay, there is a username and one more is a password, but you are not trying to enter all the details. You are not trying to enter all the details, but you are trying to authenticate it by giving username, and one more column is what here? Password. So model is user and fields is username, and one more is a, for example, I want to include, now if you see that form, which form? User creation form, you'll try to input the password 2 times. Password 1 and re-enter password. So those fields names are what here? Password 1, comma, one more password is what here? Password 2. What is the password 1, password 2 here? This is first time you enter password and you re-enter what? Password. This is called password 1 as well as password, because we are customizing which form? User creation form, and that form includes so many fields. But within that, you are not including all the fields. You are trying to include only username and password 1, and one more is what? Password 2. If you see this user creation form, which is there in which module? Forms module. Okay, of authentication, it is having so many fields because that is a predefined form or not? Yes. If you want, you can see that. Okay. What you can do is, so Python manage dot py. So run server. Now you have an admin interface or not? Yes. Just work with admin interface. Just open which interface? Admin/admin. Enter the username and password and click on login here. Now, if I click on user says there, no, user dot add. Now, what it is trying to enter here, username, and this is one password and password confirmation. So, how many fields are there? Two fields. One is password and password confirmation. Okay, then when you say save, is it allows to add some more details or not? Yes, that is first name, last name, and all the things. But this is which form here? User creation form. So that is nothing but adding user. Now, this model, I mean, this form you are inheriting it. What you are doing, you are inheriting this form, but from this form, you are trying to include only two things. One is password, and one more is what? Password confirmation. Password, and one more is what? Password confirmation, right? Yes. So here I created form. So here I created a form. Add is there. No, add is for adding only one. Okay. Yes. Now username and password one, and one more is what? Password two. Now once you created this form, now you have to develop a template where you have to render which form? Registration form. You have to create a template where you have to render which form? Registration form. Okay. So what I'm doing is, so views.py. So here I'm creating, so from application one dot forms import. What is the name of the form is, what is the name of the form? Registration form. The name of the form is what here? Registration form. So you have to import registration form. And after that, now you have a model. What is the name of the model is student. So from application one dot models import. So what is the name of the model is student. The model name is what here? Student. Okay. Application one dot model, and what is the model name is student. Now what you have to do is you have to create the user, right? You have to create the user. You have to create the user. Okay. Without creating user, you cannot do login, right? Okay. Now Django dot contribute. Django dot contribute. Okay. Dot authentication is provided predefined methods. What is that here? Login. And one more is what? Logout. That is provided login, and what is that? Logout. But when I can use this login logout, if user is what? Created. If you don't want this, if you don't want this like a registration form, then what you can do is you can directly write which one? Login. You can directly write which one? Login. Login you can write directly. Directly you can write what? Login, where you enter username and password. Correct or not? But now I want to create a user first. After creating a user, I want to do authentication by giving credentials like username and what is that? Password. By giving username and password. Okay, then now here I'm creating a view. What is the name of the view is register view. Okay, register view is a registration view. Okay, and this will receive the request. And what does the request contain? User details. Now that is nothing but it contain post information like username, password, and re-enter password. And this details you put inside a form. You put these details into inside a form, and then you validate. Is it this data is correct or not by invoking validation methods? If it is valid, what do you do it? You register this user in a specific group. This user has to be registered or not? Yes. Now I'm creating a form. So form equal to, what is the name of the form is registration form. Here I'm saying request dot, what is the name of this is post. Request dot post. Suppose if the request contain post, then it will populate the data. In which form? Registration form. But if request doesn't contain the data, it should create which form? Empty form. Or means true. If any one is true. Suppose first one is what? Suppose first one is a false. Then it will try to create which form? Empty form. If the first one is false, it will verify what? Second one. Then it will create which form? Empty form. If the request.post is there. If the request.post is there, it will try to create a form by populating which data? Post data. It will create a form by populating which data? Post data. Now, after creating a form, next what you have to do, you have to verify, is it this data is valid or not? So form dot is what here? Valid. If the data which is there in the form is valid, then you are saying user equal to form dot save. Now it will create this user or not? Yes. It will create this user, and after creating a user, I said here user equal to form dot save. I said user equal to form dot save because form contain whose details? User details. Okay. Then form dot save user, and then you have to go for which one next? Login. You have to go for which one? Login. So where in login? Now there is a login. You are calling login by sending request to comma. What is that? User. Means you created one session. What login will do? What login will do? It will create one session. It will create a session with this particular user. Okay. So this is registration view. Form dot save and then return. What you written here after login? I mean form dot is valid. When it is checking this is valid is, or when it is checking is valid is if it contain which data? Post data. If it is contain post data, it create form dot is valid user equal to form dot save, and then you are saying login. You are sending a request as well as what? User register view, right? You enter the details by posting the data. Okay. Means once it is registered, means you enter username, password 1 and password 2. Means you have already created one user and you logged in. Already you logged in. Then log in by sending the request as well as what? User. Means you are not creating separate template for which one? Login. Now this itself is what your registration form as well as what? Login. Okay. If it is a form dot is valid user, form dot save and login, you are sending a request along with which one? User. Now it will create a session. And after creating a session, it should display which one? Dashboard. It should display the dashboard. But before displaying the dashboard, it should verify is it this user is having in the dashboard. You'll have some options like whether viewing the details, adding the details, or deleting the details. All these are what different operations done by the person. Then you'll try to verify is it this person is having this roles and what is that? Permissions. If this person is having these roles and permissions, then you allow. Otherwise, you don't allow. So response, or I write directly return. What is this here? Redirect. Okay, return redirect. Where is redirect here? Render comma redirect to what is the name of the view is dashboard. So what is the name of this is dashboard. It will redirect to the dashboard. Otherwise, it will create an empty form or not? Yes. So that empty form, you have to return it. So that empty form, you have to return it. Now return, okay, return render, okay, request comma, okay, request comma. What is the template? You required one template, right? What is the template is? Okay, register template dot HTML. Okay, register dot HTML, and there is a context, and the context parameters are form. This is a form, comma. What is the name of the object is form. Yeah, that is what we are doing. Yes, that is what we are doing it. See, as a customer, for example, this is your dashboard. If you log in, for example, if you take HDFC is there, SDFC or anything, Amazon is there, Amazon.in, Amazon.in, you sign in. You who are you? Now you are a customer. Okay, this is your account. Okay, you are a customer. You are a customer. Customer, what customer can do? Purchase the product. He can sell. He cannot sell the product. He can purchase the product. He can place the orders. That he can do it, but he cannot do any other operation. Now there is one more user is there. What is it? Another user supply. Now there is a supplier is there. Now if I click on supply to Amazon, now it will ask, okay, become an Amazon. Which one? Supplier. Now this is separate dashboard, and this is a dashboard of whom? Or this is a dashboard of whom? Supplier. This is a dashboard of suppliers here. This is dashboard. One more dashboard belongs to whom? Supplier. Okay, now supplier will try to log in. Okay, supplier is try to log in and become an Amazon supplier. Then here it will ask all the details. Okay, all the details, and then you'll become which one? Supplier. Okay, then supplier is having separate dashboard where he can add the products, he can change the price, he can give the discounts, he can upload the images of those products, and all the things are done by whom? Supplier, not by the customer. Ring on. Now this is a different role or not here. If I click on login, then it will try to verify is it that person is a supplier or not. If the supplier, then he'll get a separate dashboard. In the same way, if you take a bank, in bank also you have a customer, right? What customer will do? He can transfer the funds, he can see the account details. Okay, he can transfer the funds, he can see the account details. That's all. But he cannot do any other operations. He cannot do any other operations. But the person who work in bank is called as a staff. They are employees or not? Yes, they can do a lot of operations. Now there is some group. Now how many groups are there? Two. One is customer and one more is what? Staff. One is customer and one more is a staff. If the staff, he can do a lot of, means there is a separate dashboard for whom? Staff. There is a separate dashboard for whom? Customer. He can do only these operations and staff can do only these operations. Getting or not? So one website or one application is managed by number of people, number of users, and those users you'll try to divide into number of groups. You'll try to divide into what groups? Okay. Now this is template, and what is this template is registration template dot html. Muhammad Nadeem, right? So what is the template I'm using? Registration template dot html, right? Now this is when you created this, yeah, different login credentials. Yes. Yeah. Customer and supplier will have different login credentials. But login will be the same, username and password. But what you get, the content is what? Different. Customer can view the products, supplier can add the products, update the products, delete the products, and view the products. He can do a lot of things. Okay, but customer can only view the products, place the products. That's all. He cannot do any other operations. Then after this, now request login, request comma user, and here there is a view. And what is the name of the view is login view. So login view where I'm sending a request, okay, where it received the request. And after receiving the request, if request dot, if request dot method, if request dot method double equal to, what is the request method is here? Post. If the request dot method equal to post, you are trying to get the details. What details you are getting? You are getting the user name. So request dot method dot get, you are getting whose details here? User name. So you are trying to get the user name post. So request dot method dot post dot get user name, and request dot method dot post dot get, what you are getting here? Password. You are getting the username and password, and then you are verifying is it this user is exist or not. How you are verifying this user is exist or not? By using one predefined method called which one? Authenticate. What is the name of that method is? Authenticate. So authenticate by giving request comma, okay, request comma whose details? Request comma user details. What is the user details here? Username, and username equal to username, and next what you are sending? Password, and password equal to password, right? So I try to verify is it this given username and password is valid or not. But who's doing that? One method. What is the name of the method is authenticate. So it will try to return user details if user is authenticated. Means if the user is valid. If the user is valid, then it returns user details. But if user is invalid, it returns what? None. If user is valid, then it returns whose details? User details. If the user is invalid, then it returns none. Okay. Suppose if user is valid, what do you do it? If user is valid, then you create a session or not? Yes. If user is valid, you create a session. If user is valid, you create a session. Okay. If a user, okay, it means if the object is exist, if user object is exist, then you are saying login with what here? Request comma with whose details? User details. With whose details? User details. See the difference here. This is registration form where you register yourself and then login. That itself is what? Login. Registration and login. But this is if not if the form data is not, suppose if a request is not a post, okay, directly it will come to which one? Register template dot html with the form. With the form. And here login view, if the request dot method equal to post username, and you are getting username and password, and you are verifying is it this user is exist or not. If the user is exist, then what you are trying to do? You are trying to create a session with this user details. You are trying to create a session with what? This user details, and then redirect. Redirect to which one? Dashboard. Return. Okay, return. Redirect. Redirect to which one? Dashboard. Up to this you understood, right? Okay. Else, what you have to do? Is it this? You have to create which form? Which form you have to create a login form. So where you have to input username and password. You have to you have to render into which form? Login form, where you have to input username and password. Okay. Now you can create your own form. And here I'm saying response equal to render request comma. Now define the context parameter. Sorry. Now create one form template. And what is this template is some login template dot html. And to this, you're not sending anything because you need to enter only username and password. You need to enter username and password. Understood? Right? So this is login template dot html. See, here what you are trying to do, return the response. Sorry, return the response, return response. So this is empty login. Okay, where you enter username and password and send to this login view. But this is which form? Registration, where you enter username, password, and re-enter password. Re-enter what is that? Password, right? Okay. Then after this, you have what here? Dashboard. After this, you have a dashboard. Okay. But here, now suppose if the user details, if user is exists, you are doing this. Otherwise, you can go to login template.html with some error message like, is it this data is correct or not? Not correct. Then you can give, or you can generate what? Error. Or it will give the same as, same template, that is login template.html. Login template.html. What is this response? Okay. Response is given. Okay. Yes. Now these two views you understood, right? What we have done first, first we created a groups and then we created what? Permissions. We created a group and we created what? Permission. Okay. But we created user. But we created what? User. We created user. Here, number of models are there. We created a group and we created what? Permission. And there is a predefined permissions, authentication group permissions, and there is a authentication user permissions. Authentication user permissions here. Authentication user. Okay, user permission. Authentication user permission. Oh, what is the table name here? 1 minute. Now, if you see this, there is a user ID and there is what? Permission ID. But this is now select a star from what is that? Authentication user underscore what is that? Permissions. Permissions. Now, is it this table is empty or not? Yes. Because are you given any permissions to any user? No. You are not given any permissions to what? Any user. We created group. We created group and we created what? Permissions. But are you assigned any permissions to this user? No. See, I'm telling you, you can do this from here also. You can see the groups. Now already there is some two groups are there or not? Yes. What is the first group is admin. What is the second one is employee. Open this admin in admin group. Now these are what here? Permissions. These are permissions. All these are permissions. Now admin is having any permissions here? No. Empty, right? Just go back. Employee is there. Employee is having one permission. Yes. We write a command. But instead of writing a command, can you do all this from here? Yes. What is the command we used? We created a group. See here. First, what we have done, we created a group. This is dynamic. Okay. Created a groups and then we add a permission to what? Group. Which group? Which group I have given permission is? Which group I have given permission is? Employee. I've added permission to which group? Employee group. Now employee is having which permission? Student. View student. View student. Then see here. Employee is having this permission. Then if you take this users, there is one user. Okay. What is the user is? NIT. NIT is a user. Okay. NIT is a group. NIT is a user. Now if you open this NIT, you can see all this. You can see all this. Now this NIT belongs to which? Available groups are how many here? Two groups. One is admin and one more is what? Employee. One is admin and one more is what? Employee. But is it this user is assigned to any group? No. Now suppose I'll select this one and I'll click on which one? Add. Then what will happen? It'll come under which group? Admin group. Suppose if I say employee and if I add, then it'll come under which group? Employee group. If it's an employee group, is having only one permission. Which permission? He can view the student details, but he cannot add it, he cannot update it, he cannot delete it. Getting or not? Okay. So these are user permissions and these are what? These are what? Groups. Okay. Now just try to, but instead of doing it manually, you can do it from which interface? Admin interface. For every project, they'll provide an admin interface by using which you can administrate what? Complete project or application. Complete project, you can administrate it by using this admin interface. Okay, right? Now see here. But here, what we have done, we created user. But is it this user is added in any group? Tell me, is it this user is added in any group? No. Until unless user is not added in any group, that user doesn't have specific permissions. It doesn't have a specific permission. We created user, but we have not added that user in any group. Until unless you don't add it, then that user will not have that permissions. I think up to this clearer. Okay, then tomorrow I'll tell you like how to add a user into the group and then how to check is having that person specific permissions or not. Then based on that permissions, you can display the dashboard and perform certain actions. This code I'm not copying. I'm not uploading the notes because it is not completed. Incomplete. When बाद में नहीं उस दिन upload नहीं करे बोल. Right? Yes. I'm not uploading the notes because it is not completed. It is incomplete. Right. Thank you. We'll see tomorrow. Right.